All right, here we are with page 17 of the Remote Learning Math Packet. Number 1, write a decimal and a fraction to represent the shaded part of the model below. Okay, so it's broken up into 10 pieces. All right, so I know for my fraction, I'm going to be in the tenths. Okay, and how many pieces are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 tenths, or 4 out of the 10 pieces, are shaded in. Now, for a decimal, we know it's less than 1. So I'm going to put a 0 in my decimal point. And then the first place value is the tenths place, like tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So there's 4 in the tenths place. So it'd be 0.4. Number 2, write a decimal and fraction to represent the shaded part of the model below. So again, my fraction I'm going to start with. Now this one's broken up into 100 pieces. So I'm just going to write 100 down there. And each one of these is 10, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. So 45 out of 100, or 45 hundredths. All right, again, I know that it's less than 1, or less than 0. So it's going to be a 0, and then point, and then it's just going to be 45. There's 4 tenths and 5 to the hundredths. So 45 hundredths is how you would say this. So this would be 0 and 45 hundredths. Number 3, again, I'm going to start with the fraction. It is 100. All right, and there are 10, 20, 30 out of 100. And the decimal, again, less than 0, so I'm going to put a 0 in my decimal point. And there are 30. You have to put 30 because it's 30 hundredths. Now it is equal to 3 tenths, so it is equal to 0.3. So that would also mean it's equal to 3 tenths. All right, number 4, this model shows 6 tenths. If the model was divided into 100 equal parts, how many parts would be shaded? So it shows us 6 tenths. So it shows us this. All right, now if it was broken into 100, all right, we can just use what we know about fractions. What would I multiply 10 by to equal 100? 10 times 10. So what you do to one, you got to do the other. So 6 times 10 would be 60. So 60 hundredths. All right. Number 2, this model shows 20 hundredths. If the model is divided into 10 equal parts, okay, so if it was divided into a total of 10, how many shaded parts would there be? Well, the same thing here. I divide 100 by 10, and that equals 10. Divide 20 by 10, and that would equal 2. And if you notice, 1, 2 strips, 2 of the 10 strips, so 2 tenths. All right, and the same thing over here, but slightly different. Sorry. Number 6, a paper clip weighs 3 hundredths of an ounce. A centimeter cube weighs 1/10 of an ounce. A magnet weighs 8 tenths of an ounce. And an eraser weighs 12 hundredths of an ounce. Which weighs more? Now, all these, one thing that's important to notice, all of these are talking about a fraction of an ounce. Okay, so since the unit is the same, we just need to compare fractions. And at first I'm like, ooh, this one sounds tricky. But then when I want to compare fractions, especially a list like this, the first thing I do is I just see which one is more than 1/2, or if any of them are. Is 3 more than 1/2 of 100? No. Is 1 more than 1/2 of 10? No. Is 8 more than 1/2 of 10? Yes. Is 12 more than 1/2 of 100? No. So clearly the magnet weighs the most because it weighs 8 tenths of an ounce. Which weighs more? The magnet. Now, another thing you could have done is changed all these to decimals. That would have been an easy way to look at it. So 0, a 0 in the tenths place, because this is hundredths, 0.03, 0.1, and I'm just going to make them all the same number of digits, 0.8 and 0.12. 12. So all these are equivalent. All right, and now I just think of it as change. Would I rather have 3 cents, 10 cents, 80 cents, or 12 cents? I would rather have 80 cents. All right, number 7, write an equivalent fraction for 5/10 with a denominator of 100. All right, so 5/10, need to write an equal fraction, denominator 100. And again, I would multiply my denominator by 10. So I need to multiply my numerator by 10. So 50 hundredths. Find an equivalent fraction for 70 hundredths. All right, that is a 0. There we go. With a denominator of 10. All right, so here I'm dividing by 10. 100 divided by 10 equals 10. And I have to divide the top by 10. 70 divided by 10 equals 7. So 7/10. Find an equivalent fraction for 9/10. So I'm going to write 9/10 equals, with a denominator of 100. Again, I would multiply by 10. 10 times 10 equals 100. Times 10, that would be 90. All right, there we go.